Jake Gyllenhaal, Apple TV, David E. Kelly. Yeah, I'm sign me up. I'm sold. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. First two episodes of the new Apple series, Presumed Innocent, is here with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ruth Negga. I'm going to say this now. Until Dark Matter ends, these reviews are going to come a couple of days later. I don't know what Apple was thinking, but they put both of these shows on at the same time, on the same day. Dark Matter takes precedent. I will get to these when I get to them, until Dark Matter is done. This one's a bit of an interesting beast. Let's talk about the show as a whole. The show is called Presumed Innocent. It's based off of a book which had a film adaptation in the 90s. I believe it's the 90s, with Harrison Ford. Jake Gyllenhaal plays a character named Rusty Sabick, and he is a prosecutor for Chicago law firm. Here it's a Chicago law firm. It's typically Midwest. And he becomes the prime suspect in the killing of a colleague, Carolyn Paulmus, who also is a person that he had limited affair with. We find out not completely telling the truth there. And if anybody who's ever done one of these with me before, first couple episodes, I'm always sort of going to be non-spoilerish, as spoiler-free as we possibly can. This is going to be mild spoilers for this one. I think the performances so far that I've seen are really good. I think Jake's Jake. Jake's one of those guys that if I see him, I'm going to watch it no matter what. Even with Roadhouse, there's some wild choices made there. It's still, for the most part, a pretty good performance from him. I just think the movie's just apeshit crazy. But here's a lot more subdued, and it's a lot more character-driven work, and it's really well. I think Ruth Negga is a star. She should. I wish she was a bigger name than she is. Some of that might be choices of what she chooses to do, but she is a star, and so I think the two of them doing a great character work. Peter Skarsgård's here as sort of the foil, the defense attorney that starts to try to put Ryan in his place and believes that he is the prime suspect in the murder of Carolyn. Now, here's what's interesting in this is that Carolyn's affair was only known by uh, by Ryan and his wife Barbara, played by Ruth Negga. And so this sort of coming out sort of blows up his professional life, but also his personal life with his kids and all of that. So it has a ripple effect. And so Rusty has a bit of a has a bit of an obsession with Carolyn. And so we start learning that while he is returned to his wife and Barbara has sort of accepted and kind of gone with the flow of whatever is happening with Rusty, when this sort of blows up, she's more afraid of sort of the blowback that kind of comes with that. She knows that if this gets out to the public, she's going to have to relive those wounds all over again. And then we subsequently find out that the affair wasn't quite done. And that's all I'm going to give. There's two episodes. We get the bases loaded, and then we get, I forgot what the second episode's called. Rusty versus people or something like that. Solid two-part episode. So here's my hang up that I have with the series. And it's nothing that the series is doing incorrectly. It's doing the basics quite well. Presumed Innocent as a whole, both the book and the 90s film with Harrison Ford exist, and I've seen them both, and I've seen and read both, and so I'm not going into this blind, and I think that hurts me. I think anybody who's going into this without having seen either of those, if you're making this as a blind audience, you've never seen any version or read any version of this will be one of the greatest shows. You'll love it. If you had any of those in the back of your mind, you're not so much comparing, but you know the threads and where we're going. And though while they tone some things down, some things are changed here and there. The murder of Carolyn is just a murder here, where I believe in the film, in the book, it's a murder and rape. This one feels like it's just a murder. They lose the sexual aspect of it, but still, in all, the beats are the same. Thus, it feels like the outcomes are going to be the same. And so for me, as a person who's seen versions of presumed innocent sort of occur already, I am now basically watching an exercise to get to certain points. And I'm watching actors exercises to get to certain points. The writing's on the wall for me. I know where this is going. And so, unlike David E. Kelly's other show, Love and Death, which clearly had a blueprint that it had to follow with Elizabeth Olsen. If you haven't seen that, you should. I didn't know that story well enough, so I was kind of going in while it was news. I didn't look it up. I kind of was letting the world sort of unfold around me. This one, I have an idea of what's happening, and I know what's happening, so it's not as fun for me to kind of get to the point. Doesn't mean that I don't think everybody's doing their A1 job. I think the directing is good. I think the choice of going back and forth with the therapist was a big piece of the book and the film. Is all important. You need that. Lily Ray, love to see it. Everything's sort of working. Performances are working. The script is working. The story is working. It's just for me as a person who has sort of already peeked behind the curtain. I know what we're getting to. And so for me, I'm going to have to watch this show a little differently than I think folks who are going in blindly, where I'm watching to see how much they're telegraphing the ending and what's to come, and how well they're doing a job sort of hiding those pieces. And when we finally do get reveals of what's actually occurring in this scenario, I'm not going to spoil anything from it. And I suggest people, if you have not read the book or seen the original film adaptation, don't go in blind. Just enjoy the rest of the ride. Because it's going to take you on a ride. I'm not going to try to point anything to where it's going or give any crumbs or hints, but I will say it's a good ride. And I would just say, pay attention to everything. And I think for me, I'm going to be watching it with that sort of viewpoint as a person who knows where this is going and just enjoying the acting performances. Because if nothing else, at the very least, me getting to see Jake Gyllenhaal versus Peter Skarsgård with Ruth Negga, that alone is the price of admission. So the first two episodes of Presumed Innocent are up. Go ahead and watch them. What did you guys think about the first two episodes? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDid@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere the place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.